So now we know how to make a chart. A really great way to represent the data we have in tables to our business partners or our customers so they really understand what's going on with their data. And what we've done so far is going to be really helpful, but now we want to take it and just tweak it a little bit. So now we're going to see how to format charts and make them look exactly how you want them to. So we're going to start out, we've got a small little subset of the bakery data, just 5 days of the week, and the stores are added up. And we're going to make a chart, and then we're going to see how to do some formatting. So just for practice, let's go up here and let's use our F11 key to make a chart again. And that chart was created on a chart sheet. And so we want to take that and go to our chart design menu and go over and move the chart back to our formatting chart tab. So now you see we've got this chart and it looks kind of similar, but it's not exactly what the chart on the left is. So the first thing we want to do is try to make it look exactly like that. I'm going to resize this, and then you see this is very two-dimensional. This isn't, on the left, this isn't a three-dimensional chart, but the columns do kind of have a 3D effect. They stand out a little bit. So here's going to be the best way to format charts. We're going to make sure we're on the chart design tab, and here's our chart styles. If you hover over them, you see that your chart takes on some predefined characteristics that Excel's already decided for us. And you go through a lot of elements of change, the shading, the colors of the bars, the background of the chart, adding data labels, just a lot of different formats that are kind of, a way to get you started, if you will, or end up on them. What I'm going to do here is click on this one, because this last style here is the same one as I have here. So boom, I've already changed the formatting to match the one on the left. The styles are a really good way to get a base format, and it may be all you need to do. However, there is more tweaking we can do to other chart elements. So for that, I'm going to go over to the quick layout tool, click the drop down, and just like the styles, if I hover over these layouts, you'll see the chart change with different layouts, again, that Excel's picked out. Here's one where the columns are overlapping a little bit. Here's one with no title and better grid lines. Here's one where the columns are all pushed together. And we're going to see a little later how to modify all the other elements individually. But again, this is a very quick way to format your chart into something that looks pleasing. So I'm going to choose layout 11 down here where the columns are pushed together and there's no chart title. I'll just click that. And now the last one of the tools we're going to use for quick formatting is the change colors tool. I'll click on that. Now Excel's picked out 4 different palettes of colors they think contrast really well. And you can, again, just use these for a quick formatting. Now down here, we've got what are called monochromatic formats. It's all one color, but different shades. Let's click on one of those. And they're all green. Now my Brooklyn store is dark green, Manhattan's medium, and Queens is light. Well, that's really difficult to see in the monochromatic or the single color scheme. However, there is a good use for it. If I flip the stores and the dates, by doing my switch rows and columns, now each category section is one store with the days of the week as columns. So now the colors do kind of make sense. I'm actually going to do one more thing. I'm going to change the color to, in the beginning of the monochromatics, they're dark in the front and light at the back. But if I go down, they go the other way. So I'll pick this one. So now to me, the lightest color is Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So in this particular case, the monochrome works better because the days are kind of the same thing. If I made these colors, it doesn't really look good because each day is a different color, and yeah, it's kind of a mess. So that's why you'd use just a single color scheme. Let me go ahead and switch those back. So in general, just use those 3 tools to format your chart. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to format all the individual aspects of a chart. So first thing I want to do is get this chart all by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this chart and do a Control X for my cut. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and just paste it here. I'm going to change the layout back to what I wanted before. So I'm going to go to Chart Design, go down here, click that, and get my layout to get my title back. So when you're looking at a chart, everything you see, you can modify. And I'm going to go over here to the Format menu. And if you look over here in the upper left, here's a chart elements box. And it's got a drop down. We'll use that in a second. But basically watch this box. I'll move my chart over to it. Watch this box as we click on the elements. So right now I'm on the chart area. That's the outside of the chart. If I click here, I'm on the chart title. If I click here, I'm on the vertical or the value axis. If I click down here, I'm on the x-axis. If I click here, I'm on the legend. So there's so many elements to a chart, and we're not going to cover all of them today. Another thing you can do is within the chart too. So we have the chart area, now we've got the plot area. Then we can actually click on our data. So if I click once, I'm on the series. That's every data point for Manhattan Store. If I click one of those, I'm actually on the data point within a series. So it says series, Manhattan, and point. So we're going to see how to modify these. Let's go ahead and here, and I'll click on the chart again. If you look over to the right, we've already got the format chart area displayed. So I'm going to go ahead and close that and show you how to get that back. So if I'm clicked anywhere on this chart and on any element, and I go up to my format menu and click format selection, then that appears over on the right here, and I can format things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move my chart back over there, and we're going to see how to modify things. So every single element will have items that you can modify or change. You can change the colors, and there's some other characteristics too that we'll see, but you basically just have to play around with it a little bit. If it seems like it can be changed, it probably can. On chart area, there's three icons here. We've got fill in line, effects, and we've got size and properties. So let's start with the fill in the line. So I'll click on this drop down, and right now it's just automatic, it's not picking a fill. So I could pick a solid fill and then just pick a color for the background. I could go light green, and then that whole chart area is green. Pick a different color, light blue. I could pick a gradient fill, and that will give you colors that have a different effect. You see how it's lighter top by the title, and it gets darker around the edges. Then you can actually modify that gradient too if you want. But we're not going to get too crazy with this, just to show you what you can do here. As for border, we can come down here, and now we could put a border around our chart too. We could do a solid line, and right now the width is 75 points. We can make that much wider, 3 points. And then I can scroll down a little bit more and make sure I have rounded corners on that. Okay, so now if I look at that chart, it looks pretty great. Well, let me click back on the chart, and we're going to look at one more set of properties. We're going to skip the effects and go over to size and properties. If the properties is already expanded, that's fine, but if not, you just click the little arrow here and it will expand down. So now what we want to do is want to show you that right now we're on move and size with cells. And what that means is if I insert some cells here, if I do an insert, the chart's going to move because I inserted some cells. And also if I size something, so if I click a column behind the chart and I resize that, the chart is going to resize based on what I've done there too. So we may not want that. So let's go back and click on the chart and go over here. And instead of moving size with cells, let's try move, but don't size with cells. So now, if I delete these columns, the chart will still move, but then again, if I highlight a column behind it and resize it, the chart doesn't resize anymore. And the last option you have there is to don't move or size with cells. And for this one, it's not going to move when you insert cells, and it's not going to resize when you resize cells behind it. So those are some of the properties that are specific to the chart area. Let's look at one or two more of these. Let's go to the format menu, and instead of chart area, let's go down to the plot area. And you'll notice that Excel will actually highlight the element you're on, as well as putting it up on the formatting area. So I'll go here to the fill, and go down here to do a solid fill of the plot area. And we don't want that red. How about a nice light blue there? So now we've created kind of a picture box effect in our chart. It has this green border, it's kind of interesting, but then where the data is, it's got a light blue background. So this is kind of cool. And again, every single thing you click on in the chart is an element, and you can format it. We don't have time to go through everything, but this is where you really get to experiment and play and see how to format things. Here's the axis. We're actually going to cover that in another module, the axis. Then here you have the legend. You can actually click on a data series and modify that. So here, instead of red, why don't I fill it with purple? Fill the whole series with purple. Now, this is really interesting. What if I want to highlight one point in that series? So Manhattan is clearly the best sales, and 5/9 is the best day. So with the series selected, I can click on one of the bars, and now only that point is selected. So I can go to your solid fill, and I can give that a color and make it really stand out. These are ways to enhance your chart to tell the story even better than just a basic chart. So now that you've seen kind of how to do this, you can, to format different things in the chart, you can either click on them and then check what it is. This is the series of queens. This is the plot area. This is the chart area. This is one of the axis. This is another axis. This is a legend. But now you can take one of those basic styles and just tweak it to make it the perfect chart. We only worked with the column chart, but these same techniques work with every chart in Excel. All right, well, let's get ready for the next lesson.